Welcome back to the water cooler, everybody. Derek Chauvin, guilty on all counts. Justice, come on, folks. Justice served in the sense that he was on George Floyd's neck for, oh my gosh, how long? You know how long. So obviously there's that. But then there's the legal issue as it relates to, did he technically get a fair trial? Let's talk about that issue with Rick Green, founder of PatriotAcademy.com and America's Constitution coach, a regular on this show. Rick, great to see you, sir.
Hey, good to be at the water cooler. David, good to be back with you, man.
All right, so talk to me about the Chauvin trial. I mean, Maxine Waters, I think, stepped in it clearly. Even the judge said that. What about the appeal process here? What's your sense about whether or not Chauvin did indeed get a fair trial?
Well, there's going to be huge questions about that. I would even step back and say, listen, I actually agree with some on the left that have said with this trial, America has been on trial. Unfortunately, the verdict was in months ago. We basically said that the rule of law, equal justice, blind justice, that those things don't matter much anymore. The narrative is that Derek Chauvin was a racist that committed a murder and that most police officers are the same. That is a wrong narrative. It's a lie. First of all, there's been no evidence that any of this had anything to do with race. Zero evidence of that. And to perpetrate this lie on the police of the United States of America, I think is so wrong. 40 million interactions with Americans police officers have every year. The restraint that they show every time they have to walk up to a car or walk up to a door and their life is put in danger is incredible. How well they control themselves and how few times we have an accident of any kind or a wrong decision by a police officer. It happens so rare when you look at all of those interactions. So I just want to start there because in many ways, the major media, not you, I know, and not just the news, but the major media is trying to put a pox on all houses, say all police officers are bad, defund the police. The mayor of Minneapolis and his absolute irresponsible statements even before the jury came out by saying that no matter what the jury does, that this man died at the hands of Minneapolis police. Look, Jacob Frey is responsible for the riots across the country because he gave up that police station a year ago and said, let them burn it, which told thugs across the nation it was okay to riot. I know I'm going down too many rabbit holes here, but I just think it's very important to get the narrative right. When there is police brutality, we should drop the hammer, no doubt about it. But it is so incredibly rare. And Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters and the mayor of Minnesota and Jacob Frey, they want to blame all police officers, defund the police. It's wrong. It's dangerous to all communities in America. And I think we have to start there.
So are you and I copacetic on this? When I say are we simpatico as it relates to being able to put a line here? In other words, there's Derek Chauvin, what he did to George Floyd. We've all seen the video. And, there's a guilty issue. There's a guilty verdict there. But then there's the other issue as it relates to fair trial and whether or not, you're just in the indictment of all police officers across America.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, man, I got a brother-in-law that's a sergeant in Grand Prairie. I've talked to a lot of police officers about, whether or not Chauvin did this right or wrong. Some police officers say he did exactly what he was trained to do. Others say, no, he misapplied. It was too long. He should have gotten up a lot sooner. I personally, last year, when I first saw the video, came out and said, this is wrong. It's evil. This guy ought to be prosecuted. Absolutely. Yeah. Then, of course, we all learned later that George Floyd was dying from a fentanyl overdose, not from the knee on. So it's that part is difficult, and I leave that up to the jury to decide ultimately what happened. I do think it's ridiculous to say that it was murder, second degree or third degree murder. It was manslaughter if in fact the jury found that to be the case. But again, it's the facts haven't really mattered that much here. This has been a trial by mob, trial by media, rather than trial by jury. That's my concern. It doesn't matter what the jury came out with. These people are not satisfied. We could hang Derek Chauvin at high noon in George Floyd Square, and these people would not be happy. They've already said that they're not done. This is just the beginning. That's the problem I have. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Well, I was going to say, so how does someone like that get a fair trial then? I mean, if this video is being seen by everybody around the world in America, I mean, is it not a fair trial just from the very beginning? The jury is tainted to begin with?
Well, no, I do think there was a possibility of a fair trial. Absolutely, change of venue should have happened. Absolutely, they should have been sequestered to allow them to be the jury to be influenced by people like Maxine Waters, by the president of the United States basically requesting a guilty verdict here. All of those things put a thumb on the scale. So instead of getting that blind justice, instead of getting that equal justice type of a trial, we got, in my opinion, a tainted situation here. And it actually makes it harder to get actual justice, because now you run the risk of losing that guilty verdict on appeal because of all of these things. So look, it's been a messed up situation from the beginning, thanks to the politicians weighing in when they should not have done so the way that they did. Yeah, I'm really concerned about, look at what the Michigan Attorney General came out and did. I mean, he comes out and runs this long laundry list of names, acting like these were unjustified shootings, when actually most of the names that he listed were people trying to kill a police officer. And so we just got to slow down. I've mentioned this on your show before. The MLK rule, right out of his letter from Birmingham jail, the first step is to stop, investigate the facts, make sure there's an injustice, and then make sure that you are negotiating, then make sure there's purification of yourself, then protest. What we have right now is immediate protest. As soon as someone is shot by a police officer, we got rioting in the streets, instead of waiting and saying, wait a minute, let's get the facts. Let's make sure this was an unjustified or a justified shooting. And the way that everybody's responding to this trial, they're just going to encourage more and more mob violence and mob trial instead of good, fair trial by a jury.
Right. So, Rick, I've got about a minute left. I want to get your take on this Ron DeSantis bill, this anti-rioting bill he signed. It's a pretty tough anti-rioting bill. I want to get your take on it, because there are protests all around the country at times in the past, and there'll be some in the future. This is a big deal in Florida.
It is, and thank God for leadership. I mean, Ron DeSantis continues to hit it out of the park with reasoned, measured, constitutional responses to what's going on. Nobody's claiming that there aren't problems. There's not, individual racism in America, but this is very different from 50 years ago. America's made so much progress. They're trying to take us backwards and lead us back into race division. Ron DeSantis is saying, hey, the rule of law matters. The Constitution matters. If you want to protest, great, but you're going to do it peaceably. That's really what he's calling on. Frankly, every governor in America should agree with that and say that we're going to do the same thing.
Rick Green, great to have you on the show again. Really enjoy all of our conversations. And that's on the record. I said it on live television. Thank you.
I'm going to record it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. I'm going to record it too, because I like to watch myself after the show, because why not? It's narcissistic. And then you should see me. I actually watch the show sometimes later in the evening, and then my family's like, why are you watching the show? You did the show. Or why do you have to watch yourself again? Anyhow. So, therapy, that's all I have to say. All right, when we come back, what else do we have? Oh, guess what? We have the last sip. So is it President Biden or is it President Kamala Harris? There was a weird situation yesterday when they both took to the podium, and maybe they want to change the graphic at ABC News. Back in a moment.